Breaking news, and I mean the kind of news that makes you stop mid-scroll. Spit out your drink and wonder if the world has officially gone off the rails. King Harris, the son of rap royalty, has just been slapped with a life sentence. Yes, you heard me right. Life. But hold on. Before you start dialing up conspiracy hotlines, let me ask you, how does a teenager who grew up with millions, luxury cars, and VIP access end up facing the same fate as hardened criminals? Was it arrogance, bad decisions, or some twisted setup the industry doesn't want you to know about? Imagine being born into privilege, only to spiral into chaos so fast that the very name Harris is now trending not for music, but for mugshots. And the best part, nor maybe the worst, is that nobody can agree on what really happened. Some say he crossed the wrong people. Others claim he thought he was untouchable. But one thing is crystal clear. This isn't just a scandal. It's a headline built for history books. So buckle up. Because the truth, or whatever's left of it, is messier than anything Hollywood could script. Let's start at the very beginning of this circus, because you can't understand the chaos without knowing how it all unfolded. King Harris, the young heir to rap royalty, wasn't supposed to be standing in the middle of a storm this massive. He was supposed to be the next generation of hip-hop royalty, basking in the glow of celebrity privilege and enjoying the silver spoon lifestyle. But instead, he became the walking headline no one expected and maybe everyone secretly saw coming. You see, controversy has been glued to King Harris since the moment he decided to ditch the velvet ropes and step into the streets like some self-proclaimed kingpin. Remember the endless Instagram live rants, the fights at fast food restaurants, the so-called leaked clips of him flashing stacks of cash and laughing at rules the rest of us actually have to follow? Yeah, those weren't just teenage antics, they were warning shots, neon signs screaming that this wasn't going to end well. And guess what? It didn't. Single quotes. People love to talk about his famous family, about how growing up in the shadow of T.I. and Tiny meant pressure, expectations, and cameras around every corner. But if we're being honest, it wasn't just Famet, it was entitlement. He wasn't just sipping from the golden chalice. He was pouring it over everyone else's heads while mocking the system that built him. Friends turned into enemies, enemies turned into informants, and the internet. The internet was his courtroom long before the judge ever put on the robe. Every live stream became a trial. Every headline another nail in the coffin of his innocent image. And then came the scandal. The one that transformed whispers into screams and gossip into hard news. According to unnamed insiders, you know, the kind who somehow always spill the tea at exactly the right moment. King wasn't just acting reckless, he was orchestrating chaos behind the scenes. Lavish parties allegedly funded by money that didn't belong to him. Fake business deals that collapsed before they ever started. And a trail of receipts nobody was supposed to see. The streets were buzzing, blogs were lighting up, and Twitter's X was exploding with threads longer than your Netflix watch list. Everybody had an opinion, and none of them were flattering. The worst part? This wasn't even the first time he brushed against disaster. Remember last year when he almost got arrested outside that club? Or when videos of him trash-talking security guards went viral? Those incidents were dismissed as youthful mistakes, but in hindsight, they looked like the prelude to a downfall scripted by fate itself. By the time the gavel came down and that life sentence was announced, it wasn't a shock, it was confirmation. Confirmation of what fans, haters, and even family members had whispered all along, that King Harris wasn't just a troubled kid. He was a ticking time bomb waiting for the right scandal to ignite. And ignite it did. Because this story wasn't just about one bad decision, it was about a pattern, a lifestyle, and a mindset that screamed untouchable right up until the law proved otherwise. And that, my friends, is where things get even darker. Because the deeper you dig, the uglier this rabbit hole becomes. And here's where the cracks turn into full-blown craters. Because once the news broke, the so-called investigative findings started rolling in like a Netflix. Stocusaries that no one asked for, but everyone's watching. Anonymous sources always close to the family, yet somehow faceless claimed that King Harris had been running side hustles that made the streets buzz louder than a trending hashtag. We're talking about luxury cars borrowed under shady leases, jewelry that mysteriously went missing from high-end boutiques, and rumors of connections with underground players who treated him less like a celebrity's son and more like a reckless pawn in their games. And of course, when those leaked receipts hit the blog's blurry screenshots of bank transfers, voice notes supposedly of King bragging about outsmarting his rivals, the internet ate it up like it was the final season of a hit show. Public reaction: explosive. Fans who once defended him as a misunderstood kid were suddenly tweeting that they saw it coming. Critics so. They had a field day dubbing him the Prince of Problems and mocking his arrogance. TikTokers started remixing his old videos into parodies of a downfall montage, while YouTube commentators milked the scandal for views with thumbnails screaming exposed. And let's not forget the imaginary headlines: life of luxury built on lies. And from rap royalty to jail royalty. If the internet is a courtroom, then King Harris was already convicted before the trial even started. But what made the scandal even juicier were the so-called insider reports. A leaked document from an anonymous investigator suggested that King was blowing through thousands of dollars a night on parties. Disguised as business meetings, the details were almost cartoonish. Lam Wen champagne bills, hotel suites trashed beyond recognition, and entourages twice the size of any A-list rapper's crew. One alleged witness even claimed he walked into the room like he owned the city, but he couldn't even pay the bill. Whether real or fabricated, these sound bites only fueled the chaos. Meanwhile, the memes kept coming. Someone photoshopped King's mugshot onto movie posters like Scarface and The Wolf of Wall Street, while another viral clip compared his kingly downfall to Game of Thrones. You either win or you get life, brutal but effective. The internet doesn't forgive, and it certainly doesn't forget. And let's not ignore the family element. Every time T.I. or Tiny posted something even remotely unrelated, say, a new music project or a family photo comment sections turned into war zones. Half the people demanded answers, while the other half mocked them for raising a rebel with no rules. Suddenly, the Harris family brand wasn't just dented, was cracking under the weight of speculation, memes, and nonstop viral ridicule. By the end of this phase, it wasn't just about King Harris anymore. It had spiraled into a cultural conversation. How fame, money, and arrogance collide into a cautionary tale that the whole world feels entitled to dissect. The scandal had momentum, and every new leak or statement only added gasoline to the fire. And just when people thought it couldn't get worse, that's exactly when the whispers of fallout started creeping in. Here it is, the fallout. The part of the story where the drama hits maximum velocity and the consequences start raining down like a storm nobody saw coming. Because once the judge slammed that gavel and the words life sentence echoed through the courtroom, the narrative shifted from scandalous gossip to national spectacle. The media framed it as the ultimate rise and fall saga, while government officials suddenly pretended they had been watching him closely all along. Whispered leaks claimed that multiple agencies, yes, the same ones that usually deal with organized crime and political scandals, had files on King Harris, hinting at money trails that didn't add up and connections with shadowy figures that no one wanted to name on record. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a cocky celebrity kid acting reckless, was painted as a case study in corruption, privilege, and downfall. The legal ripples were immediate. Reports of fresh investigations surfaced daily. Alleged fraud probes, IRS interest, and even talk of federal-level attention. Anonymous insiders suggested that his sentencing was only the beginning, that there could be domino effects leading to seized assets, frozen accounts, and other members of his circle being dragged into the spotlight. The idea that one young man's arrogance could unravel into a family-wide nightmare became the storyline of the week. And in a world addicted to scandal, this was clickbait gold. Meanwhile, the public wasn't letting up. Outside the courthouse, protesters and opportunists clashed, some shouting that King was being targeted unfairly as an example. while others mocked the very idea that he'd ever face consequences at all. Online, the memes escalated, people posting "Free King." Hashtags clashed with sarcastic jokes about him starting a prison podcast or dropping a mixtape called Life Sentence. Every move his family made was scrutinized. One rumor claimed that brand deals were collapsing overnight, with sponsors terrified of being associated with the chaos. Another claimed that T.I. himself might step down from certain projects just to shield them from further damage. And let's not ignore the financial angle. Imaginary reports of spiraling debt, lawsuits piling up, and businesses quietly distancing themselves painted a picture of a dynasty in freefall. Headlines speculated about resignations, partnerships dissolving, and even the possibility of government oversight into entertainment money flows. Because if one celebrity kid could allegedly exploit the system, who else was hiding skeletons in their closets? The whispers turned into roars. And suddenly, the Harris name wasn't a badge of honor, but a cautionary tale by this point. The fallout wasn't just legal or financial, it was cultural. King Harris had gone from being that loud kid on Instagram Live to the symbol of wasted privilege. A case study in how fame without discipline becomes destruction. His story was everywhere. In classrooms as a modern parable, in barbershops as heated debates, and in the tabloids as endless exclusive updates. The scandal had mutated into a cultural moment, the kind of story that cements itself in the collective memory whether you wanted it to or not. And that's the tragic, chaotic beauty of it. One life sentence. And suddenly the music industry, the Harris family, and even the wider celebrity world were forced to confront questions they weren't ready for. Because if it could happen to King Harris, the golden child of rap royalty, then who's safe? Who's untouchable? And more importantly, who's next? So, what do you think? Was King Harris a victim of the system or the architect of his own downfall? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is just getting started. And if you want more breaking truths like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next scandal.